So, well, we're back again. I'm Robert,
I'm Rick, and thanks for joining us.
and today we're going to talk about how to get to mediation.
How to get to mediation? Yes.
And there are three ways to get to mediation. And we're going to cover those three ways and then take you through step by step of how to get there and then some of the details, a few of the details about getting to mediation and what that means.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So, what's the first way to get to mediation?
There are three typical ways that your case could end up in front of, in a mediation session or in front of a mediator. The probably most familiar way and most typical and may have already been your experience is court-mandated mediation, where once you've filed a case or someone has filed a case against you, you'll end up in front of a judge, and that judge may mandate that you sit with a mediator.
Just hold for a second there, because there are probably people listening who have had that experience. So we might want to talk a little bit about how that experience went, what it was like for them, and they can recall and compare to what it is that we're saying, but also it would be helpful later on for other people who haven't had that experience.
Definitely, and it can be very, very scary sitting in front of a judge or getting that your papers served that someone has sued you, and then you've gotten this notice that you have to respond and show up in magistrate court on such and such a day at such and such a time. So yeah, we can walk through that. It's once the shock of, oh my gosh, I have to respond to this is over, and you actually show up to the court, magistrate court. I've had a lot of experience there. Let's start with magistrate court mandated mediations, and different counties may vary in terms of how they actually play this out. But more often than not, there's a calendar call, and the judge will go through all the cases.
What's the calendar call?
It's all the cases that the judge is going to hear that day.
Okay.
And then out of those, there'll be, once that calendar call is finished, everybody is expected to talk with the person who they're in dispute with and take a moment to try and resolve it themselves.
Now, I'm not sure I'm clear on that. They've been called to court.
Mm-hmm.
One of them has filed a claim. They get a court date.
Yep.
They go to court, and then you're saying someone is going to tell them to talk with each other?
Right.
Who's going to do that?
The judge will actually tell them. In fact, in some places, Georgia specifically, magistrate court law requires that they try to resolve it themselves. So what the judge will sometimes do is say, go out into the hallway, share each other evidence, whatever you're going to present to me, you must show to each other's first, and do a good faith effort to try and resolve this.
Okay.
If they can't, then the judge will hear their case.
Okay.
Now, sometimes they'll offer this opportunity and provide you with a mediator. Go to this room over here. There's a mediator that is court approved. It's a court mediator. And you will be asked to sit with that mediator in another room and go through your mediation. That would be another way in which court-mandated, magistrate court, you get into a mediation.
So this is one of the ways to get to mediation.
Yes.
And it's through the courts.
Right.
Okay. So there are other ways to get to mediation without going through the courts?
Well, not just that. There's different ways inside the courts. So, for example, my experience with Superior Court in divorce. Again, different counties do it different ways. You come with your divorce case, and most of the time it's mandated that before you will ever get your court date, you have to sit in front of a mediator and try and resolve your case. Sometimes those mediators are right there in the courtroom, and the judge will send them aside, and you've got X number of minutes, to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Other times, you'll be getting a letter in the mail that says your mediation is set on such and such a day. This person is assigned as your mediator. Show up and be ready. So that being mandated by the courts even before you ever see the judge or talk to the judge. That's becoming more and more, especially in divorce, that you're obligated to have time with a mediator before the judge will hear your case.
Before it gets in it, okay. And that's the same or not the same in all court districts? Or?
No, yeah, it can play out differently in different counties, but the chance or opportunity or even sometimes the necessity to sit in front of a mediator is pretty much throughout Georgia that has a mediation program. Every court that has a mediation program.
So, okay, again, that's still under one way to get to mediation.
Court mandated.
Court
yes.
mandated mediation. And we can talk about this later, but the mediator in that case that hears the complaints,
Mm-hmm.
that mediator is just sort of sitting there waiting in some cases.
In some cases. They
Yeah.
could be sitting in the courtroom. I know I've sat in many jury boxes waiting for a case to be assigned to me.
Yeah, you just sort of sit there, and when the judge gives out a case, and if you're the next one in line, then
Yeah,
that's what you get.
right.
So, okay.
And you're right. In terms of, there's a roster that the courts will have, and you may be the next one on the roster, and they'll call you and say, hey, I got a case for you. Hey, I got a case for you. Hey, I got a case for you. So you never really know too much ahead of time. That's part of, well, we'll talk about that later, but training. We train you to be ready for anything as a mediator.
Yeah, that's part of the fun in the process is that you don't, as a mediator, you don't know what you're going to get, what type of case.
Yep.
I need to be clear on that because that's what type of case you're going to get as a mediator. Okay.
10 years to learn the business. 10 years to make a name. 1 year on your own. It takes time to build a small business, but only 60 days to transform it with email marketing from Constant Contact. Sign up with Constant Contact and get 60 days of free email marketing to generate referrals, connect with clients, and build the business you've always wanted. Constant Contact. Start your 60-day free trial today.
What happens when soldiers come home? Brene Foundation offers hero support to ensure that our heroes abroad can continue to be heroes at home. We link veterans with organizations who are dedicated to guiding the transition from military hero to civilian hero. If you want to find out how you can support our troops at home, please contact the Brene Foundation or visit brene.com.
So, two other ways. The other way, second one that we wanted to talk about was you could get your own, you could decide to go to mediation yourself. You could self-select to go to mediation.
Right.
And then how does one go about finding a mediator and getting yourself in front of that?
Well, many times parties will go through an attorney to find a mediator. The attorney knows the mediation process, they know mediators, and they know some of the points that need to be covered in the process. Mm-hmm. So they might lead the parties to a mediator. In fact, they might suggest it, that the parties try mediation before they go the litigation route. So that's a piece of it. Then the other way to find a mediator or get to mediation is to go through the center. Right? That's what we're here for.
Right.
So they could come to us.
Yeah.
So,
okay. There are mediators listed out there, and I know Georgia Office of Dispute Resolution has a list of all the mediators that have been registered in the state. And usually with some expertise or a niche identified there, you can go on that website. There are other websites where mediators advertise themselves. Right. Some of them are attorneys, some of them are not attorneys, and we'll talk more about that later in terms of if you're self-selecting to go to mediation, how do you go about picking a mediator? Because there's a lot of different variables you want to take into consideration in terms of training and types of mediation that they're doing. Or the easiest way is just to call our center. We've got a whole list of mediators, vast array of experiences in different expertise that could meet just about any case problem that you have.
Yeah, and a piece of getting calling is that you could get information as to whether or not your case can go to mediation or needs to go through the court. So you find out the best route
Yeah.
that can be taken before you make a decision about what you're going to do. So that's one of the benefits there.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I think we're past those days where as soon as you have a conflict, you immediately think of litigation or you immediately think of an attorney. There are so many other productive and affordable options out there these days. The third way, and you've already introduced it, and that was the idea of the attorneys recommending mediation. And they will come about the task of looking and evaluating your case. And just because they recommend mediation doesn't necessarily mean you have a weak case or a bad case. It just may be best suited. It could save you an awful lot of money and an awful lot of time.
Yeah.
And so the attorney may actually be thinking in your best interests to offer mediation. So if the other party has an attorney and you have your attorney, and either one of them recommend mediation, then typically what they'll do is they'll also suggest a mediator, someone that they've had experience with, someone they've worked with before, someone that they may trust trust to be neutral. They're not going to pick a mediator that they think would favor the other side, obviously. So those are the three ways in terms of ending up in a mediation and what that could do for you. The court being the mandated one is probably the most common and may be what you've experienced first. The self-selection is more new. People don't even know that the resource is out there. And attorney recommendations, a lot of those.
Yeah, we get quite a few of those because many attorneys do want to help the clients and not put them through a long, dragged out process or a lot of expense. So they'll recommend mediation. So.
And they know. I mean, they've had enough experience. They can tell you, a case like this is going to, given discovery and given collecting evidence and depositions, this is going to cost, they'll give you a range. So you can evaluate pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And again, if you're not sure, call the center and we can help you evaluate a positive and best route for going
Okay.
as well.
Yeah. So that pretty much covers the ways to get to mediation. I'm thinking that there might be another way. I don't know what it is. If there is, it probably falls under one of the three areas that we've talked about. But one of the better ways to get to the mediation is, as you said, call us.
Self-select. You still end up with more power. At least that way you get to pick your mediator, as opposed to either your attorneys picking it or the judge.
Or the judge.
Or somebody, you're sitting there looking in the jury booth and go, oh gosh, I hope I don't get that guy. Or,
So, that's not a great position to be in.
No.
Okay.
All right. So what we'll do next time is go over each of these more individually, looking at the pros, the cons, and definitely the kind of dynamics that you want to pay attention to. Because there are some things that you need to know about as a consumer as to which mediator or which route is best for you. It's not just a matter of you having to take whatever is thrown your way. So if we could have the audience understand a little bit better how much power they have in any decision-making process. Because fundamentally, mediation is about empowering them.
Yeah. And they do want to keep that power.
Yes.
Not to give it away to a third party.
So we'll help you with those ideas in each of those three categories so that you'll know exactly what your rights are and what you can expect. So, who do they call?
Well, again, repeating, you need to know this, but you call the center.
Yep.
And we'll direct you, and you can come in and talk with us, or over the phone.
404-991-0072.
Give us a call.
Love to talk to you.